We recently talked about the Sultan of Brunei's incredible collection of hidden McLaren F1s. But what sort of collection would it be if it didn't have an F40 or two? But was it 2 or was it actually 10? And were they all right-hand drive? And someone could have sworn that some of them had night vision cameras. So many rumours surround the Brunei F40s that we couldn't go off what other people guess is the truth. Time for some automotive sleuthery. We decided to get in touch with someone who knows these cars better than anyone else and get definitive answers once and for all. This is Paolo Garella, and while you might recognise him as the man behind the modern Stratos and manager of the Pininfarina P45 concept, if you look back, you'd see that he was the Pininfarina prototype manager in the 90s. This put him slap bang in the middle of Brunei, creating cars for the royal family themselves throughout the 90s. Not only was he in charge of converting 6 288 GTOs and 6 F50s to right-hand drive, he did the same to a number of F40s. Now Ferrari will tell you that no F40 ever left the factory in any combination other than left-hand drive, finished in Rosso Corsa over red interior. And that's technically correct. So when the Brunei royal family wanted a fleet of F40s with extensive customization requests, it wasn't Ferrari that took the job on. The cars were sourced and were sent to Pininfarina, who were more than happy to meet the royal requests. The result? Well, during Paolo's time at Pininfarina, he was responsible for 7 custom road car F40s. 5 of them were converted to right-hand drive with custom leather interiors inspired by that of the Ferrari 512 TR. There was a gloss black over black leather car, emerald green over green leather, forest green over black leather, original red over black leather, and finally gloss white over black leather. Then 2 cars remained left-hand drive, but received the respray and interior changes. Matte black over black leather, and finally grey over black leather. All 7 cars came with AC, a radio player, electric windows, and a tiltable steering wheel column. You know, because sometimes you just want the most hardcore stripped out Ferrari, but you don't want it to be hardcore or stripped out. Then some cars were fitted with a freer flowing exhaust and an ECU flash to bump up power. While we couldn't find out which cars had this option fitted, there is a graph showing that it pushed torque on those cars in question from 426 pound-foot to a borderline deranged 480 pound-foot. Paolo's 7 cars were finished and were delivered to Brunei. Now some tales say that the princes and members of the family would go out at night in all of the F40s and use them so hard that in the morning they'd have to order alternators and spare parts from Ferrari by the pallet load. Well, that's not true, and in fact the truth is a tad more depressing than that. Paolo notes that most of the cars never had a single mile put on them, their odometers still sitting at the 0 mark. In reality, the only time they were ever used was when a mechanic needed to test drive them after a fix. Oh, and the alternators by the pallet story? That was simply so that the cars would never be waiting on parts from Italy if they were needed. The cars were never allowed to be down for maintenance if a royal wanted to drive them. Pretty ironic, seeing as that most of the cars were never used. Those of you with a keen ear might have noticed that we said Paolo modified 7 road F40s, and that's because the royal family had to take it one step further. They also bought 2 of the 19 Michelotto F40 LMs ever made. F40 LM 92237 didn't see any drastic changes and remained original. Chassis 88523 on the other hand is the Rudolph of Brunei F40s, and that's not just because of the red stripe around its nose. The LM was sent to Pininfarina, where it was resprayed to black with its signature red stripe around the body. In fact, Paolo notes a time that when the black LM was in the final stages of preparation, an Australian mechanic had asked to drive the car. After getting the car started with some issue, his lap of the Pininfarina factory took an unexpected turn when a piece of paper blocking part of the intake came loose, giving the driver an instant hit of full boost, which resulted in the LM meeting an Italian wall at some speed. However, the car was quickly patched up and made its deadline to be presented to the royal family. So for those of you counting at home, we're up to 9 F40s, 7 road cars and 2 LMs. But there's a fair few of you that are probably shouting at your screens that we've missed some, and you'd be correct. There was a right-hand drive converted yellow road car with black interior that never actually made it to Brunei in the first place. The family sometimes like to keep some of their cars in other countries just in case they happen to visit. The yellow car was one of the cars left in the UK. Then there's perhaps the most famous of the special F40s, a right-hand drive matte grey car, again with the leather interior, but with Testarossa seats instead of those styled like the 512 TR. And that's where it gets interesting. You see, Paolo never had any involvement with these cars. They were built before his term at Pininfarina started, hence why they're not in the list of 7 cars that he built. So the existence of these cars might mean that there's another fleet of earlier right-hand drive converted F40s still lurking in Brunei that we don't even know about. So with so many special cars, surely they must have been rescued and pulled from their endless tomb of the royal garages, right? Please say right. Well, unfortunately no, most of them remain there to this day. In fact, only 3 of the Brunei-owned F40s managed to escape the fate of eternal storage, and that's thanks to legendary UK Ferrari dealer John Collins of Talacrest. John had sourced some of the F40s for the family in the first place, so it was only natural that he would be the one to buy them back if the opportunity arose. Despite the red F40 LM being bought for Brunei, it was quickly sold on before making its trip overseas. Then the grey of a grey and yellow of a black cars were saved from Brunei, subsequently sold to owners in the UK. In the early 2000s, the new owner of the grey car converted it to as Ferrari intended, Rosso Corsa over red interior but with LM seats, albeit with the wheels still on the right-hand side of the car. However, in 2018, the car was changed back to its custom grey matte paint by Ferrari experts DK Engineering, but it didn't have its grey interior reinstalled and opted to stay with the red LM seats. The yellow car saw the same fate, with it being changed back to red exterior with a red cloth interior, its only link to its past life being the side of its steering wheel. So, 11 custom F40s, most of them still unseen to this day. What do you think? A crying shame that so many legendary cars are trapped in an inescapable prison? Or are you just glad that they exist in the first place? We want to say thank you to John Collins from Talacrest, James Cottingham from DK Engineering, and finally a massive thank you to Paolo Garella for providing so much of the information in this video that's helped to put decades of rumours to rest. Go give him a follow and check out his website down in the description. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe to the Car Throttle channel for more automotive detective work.